YouTube, here we are, and I'm here with the twins. So the little six won't be with me too long. This is just kind of a fun come and go project. But I've done a T5 conversion on this, and I just finished an hour ago, hot off the press. So here we go. I like to do videos where there aren't really much out there on it. So if you're expecting some super high production, super quality edited video, go look elsewhere. This is a very good, fun, informative video. Sure, I might yap a little bit, have a little bit of fun. So it's an overview of what you need to do. I'm not going to go bolt by bolt how to remove a transmission and install a transmission. If you're doing a T5 conversion, we're assuming that you already know that much. So this was a very good conversion. That little 3-speed that was in there was absolutely horrible. So I enjoyed this. It was honestly one of the easiest things I've ever done. There's so much clearance. Modern Driveline was a very stand-up company. One phone call to them got me pretty much everything I needed. I sourced out a few parts on my own to keep the cost low. All in on parts alone, I think I spent $940. Not including the transmission, which I built myself out of spare parts because I'm a transmission builder. So very reasonably, especially if you find a used T5, you can get this thing done for, I'd say, under $1,500. It's worth every penny. It transformed the entire car. It went so well. So if you want to sit around and watch me yap some more and throw some wrenches around, then here it comes. Let's start off with the list. I'm going to go ahead and explain it a little bit. It doesn't really need explaining. The first item is the driveline, modern driveline adapter plate. That's what goes between the bell housing, the original factory bell housing, and the T5 transmission. That's so that you can bolt that T5 up to this engine. Okay, the next one is the cross member that holds the transmission up to the frame. Then you've got the slip yoke. This is the required slip yoke that's needed to mate up to that tiny little original 6-cylinder drive shaft, which, yes, it worked without cutting it down, just barely. That yoke went right onto the original drive shaft. We used a throwout bearing from a 67 6-cylinder Mustang because it's a little bit bigger, and we need the bigger size to fit over the T5 transmission bearing retainer. Since I used a 4-cylinder T5, I wanted the low 397 first gear ratio to help it get off the line quicker, and it works wonderful. 1983 Ford Ranger diesel pilot bearing. Who knew they made those, huh? Anyway, that's exactly what you need to work a 4-cylinder T5 into a 6-cylinder engine or even a V8. They take the same diameter, outer diameter pilot bearing. We use the original stepped flywheel, 8.5 inch from the factory. You can't upgrade to the 66 and later unless you've got a later block that has the provisions for the later bell housing. I did not. Okay, then I think I already mentioned that. Anyway, oh no, the pressure plate. We used the factory pressure plate. It was brand new, but it's the 3-finger old puck style pressure plate, and we used a 4-cylinder clutch disc from an 80s Mustang T5, which happens to be the exact diameter. It was perfect. And finally, just a C4 transmission mount is all you need to bolt to the conversion crossmember. All right, well, transmission shot. Yeah, rear end's good. Winding is definitely coming from the trans. Oh, gee. Oh, forgot no synchros. All right. God, that's some funky clutch action. Well, for not having synchros, it sure shifts pretty nice. Man, this thing doesn't drive half bad. Just takes... just a little archaic. I really need to lighten up on this throttle spring. All right, so here it begins. Today I'm going to get this thing up in the air and maybe start work on it. Maybe I'll get the whole trans down. Depends how easy it is. So we're working on a 65, and it's got the tiny bell housing. See if I can get you in on this action here. There it is. So that is the small bell housing that has the 8.5-inch clutch. Kind of a weird clutch, but anyway, this car still has the mechanical linkage. This archaic 3-speed is shot. So it's going in the best place that it could possibly go, straight into the trash can. I may offer it up for free, but I don't know if I ever want to see that thing in service again. Oh, my garage is such a mess. I've got various T5 cores to choose from. It's right now it's between two of them. This one is a 2.34 cylinder core. It's got the 3.97 first gear ratio, which is pretty steep, but that little inline 6 is making probably 90 horsepower on a good day, so the little extra gearing might help. Or the other one is probably going to use is this world-class V8 unit, so I'll figure it out when I get there, probably whichever one needs the least amount of work. So I will go ahead and put this thing up in the air. And sorry about the mess. I am building way too many projects all at the same time. My Jeep, you know, and then my Maverick, right? My mom bought that one brand new. And of course this, you might have seen this on the last video where I thought I lost the motor. It happened to be a roller rocker. And then the 86 T-top that my brother gave me for free. Been in the family for 18 years. And I just can't keep my garage straight. But you know what? Some magic happens in here, and we're gonna get this baby up and cruising all 90 horsepower with 5 gears today with today's gas mileage. I think that a little inline 6 and a T5 just might be the answer. I won't be holding on to this thing long term. My friend James at Classics, that's CLASSIX Sports Cars, picked this up for the both of us. And we're going to have some fun with this thing. All right, we're going to catch our first glimpse of the undercarriage of this car together. Let's see what we're dealing with. Oh, that's cute. Just the fender. So, a little bit of pan rot. But the rest of it is just surface rust. That's not too bad. Frame rails are solid. I'll take it. Not bad. All right, so let's see what we're dealing with this transmission. Oh, yeah. All right, so here's this marvelous looking e-brake contraption. Was that hooked to the frame? Somehow I don't think that's original. All right. So this is not going to be a step-by-step. I assume that if you guys are planning on doing a T5 conversion, then you guys know how to remove a transmission. I'll post all the pertinent information. So obviously we're going to remove the drive shaft. There's 4 nuts holding the U-clamps onto the drive shaft at the very axle end there. I'm going to go ahead and remove the cross member, bolt. I'm going to go ahead and release this parking brake. Probably just take that spring off, and anyway, at that point I'll go ahead and take the nuts off for the cross member, drain the fluid, which I'm expecting there to not be any in, and then there should be 4 bolts. One missing, no, it's up there, and then let me see up top. Oh, there's the 3rd one and the 4th one. This transmission should come right out. God, this thing is tiny. Doesn't look like this is going to be too bad at all. Here's a little tip from me to you as a hardcore automotive enthusiast and as a manual transmission builder. Drain your transmissions before you pull them out, guys. Yes, that means every time. It never ends well for people who think that they don't have to drain their transmission fluid. As a transmission builder, I get these transmissions and they leak all over my driveway, my workbench, people's trucks, everywhere. For some reason, they think that the transmission is a magical device that is completely sealed and will be all-inclusive and not leak out any fluid, which could not possibly be further from the truth. Drain your transmissions before you drop them, guys. If you can have fresh fluid in it, then use a clean pan and reuse your fluid. It's not magic. All right, let's see what's in here. Oh, there is fluid. Doesn't look that old either. It's not very much. That's like half a quart. I know it's a small transmission, but that can't be fully topped off. Nah, fuck it, I'll just drop it in there. All right. Let's see what this looks like. See if we got a little disco party going on in here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that beauty. Perfect. Here we go. About ready to drop it. Probably quite literally. You see this big unit up here, Carter? This is what we're focusing on right here. So unfortunately, I need both of my hands. I expect it to be heavy, even though it's tiny. You can back up though, because I don't want to fall on you, and just get a picture of it as I record. You get further back, just as long as you can get me here. You ready? Oh, that's not too bad. All right. This thing's a featherweight. It's like 60 pounds, and it's made out of what? What's the case? Cast iron? I don't think it's aluminum. All right. My God, this thing is tiny. There it is. Transmission is out. All right, dropped it with the linkage and everything. Still got fluid on the ground. All right, so shine the light up here, Carter. This is the belt housing with the tiny little 8.5-inch clutch. Supposedly has a new clutch. Throwout bearing looks new, that's good. So I'm gonna be pulling this apart next. 5-bolt bell housing, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's probably the 5th and it's not attached, I don't know. Anyway, you get the idea. So, I'll be taking this down next. Let's see how this spins right here. It's pretty rough. I definitely think that it's not that smooth. I think the bearings are shot. All right, you can stop. Thank you, Carter. All right, got this off. And here is the clutch. Indeed, I would venture to have an educated guess. It does look new. So I'm going to pull these off. It looks like just a 1/2 inch. And we're going to get to that disc. So I guess this is what they meant by saying it has a stepped flywheel. Okay. And the disc does look pretty new. I'll show you in a minute off on the workbench. But that looks like hell. They didn't bother to resurface that flywheel. I hope this is I hope this is available, because if it is, then I'm going to go ahead and replace this with another one. Pilot bearing, I'm not sure if that's going to work with my V8 yet. I'll find out in a minute. Here's the puny little 8.5 disc. 8.5 inch. Looks like it is new. So apparently they did not resurface the flywheel. It is a 10 spline, but it is not big enough to fit a Foxbody input shaft. And that's a Foxbody input shaft. I am curious, the hole looks close on the pilot bearing. So regardless, I'm probably gonna swap out this clutch and pilot bearing on. But let's see if it fits. No, too small. Okay, here is the potential donor transmission number 1. This one is a 4-cylinder transmission. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull the lid off and take a peek inside and see if this thing is worn or worth salvaging. To do that, you know, take off the shifter, and then there's a roll pin in there. You use a 3/16 punch, I think, and drive that pin straight down. Move all of the tail housing bolts, size 15. Remove all the lid bolts, size 10. You slide the tail back with the shifter block and then pull the lid off. Pretty simple. So I'll be back in a minute as soon as I get this thing apart. Okay, my new clutch came in the mail. It's from a 2.3 liter 4-cylinder 1989 Mustang. Here's the original clutch disc, which is also got about 500 miles on it. This is the one, see, does not fit with a T5 transmission. And let's see, this is off of a 2.3 4-cylinder Mustang. Bam! Look at that. Look at that. So here they are, side by side. Okay. Original disc. Okay. And boom, replacement disc. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. 8.5-inch disc by coincidence. 8.5-inch disc. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Hell yeah. Okay, so we're gonna use some nasty wheat bread. That extension is almost the perfect size to drive this pilot bearing out. Notice the hole is blind, meaning it does not go through the crank all the way. So we're just gonna stuff a bunch of bread in there. Okay, it worked. Wheat bread for the win. Literally. Gotta clean it out now, but that's how you get your old pilot bearing out. Okay, here it is. The old pilot bearing next to the new one. 83 Ranger diesel bearing. Here is the old pilot bearing, well, bushing, and the new pilot bearing. 1983 Ford Ranger diesel original pilot bearing to a 65 Mustang i6. It will fit. Okay. Diameters are different. You can see the diameter of the original bearing a little bit smaller than the Ranger diesel. Ranger diesel will fit the 4-cylinder T5 input shaft, which is a little bit bigger than the original junk that came out of this thing right here. All right, so that fit in there. Hey, come on. That will not, the diameter's too big. All right, here's my progress. You see a lot of it from up here. Bell housing, the spacer, and the transmission. So, okay, modern driveline cross member. Mounts it up pretty good. On that hole up there on the opposite side, I had to hog out the hole a little bit. The frame side wasn't going through. Just one of those things. So anyhow, like I said, 1983 Ford Ranger diesel pilot bearing. Then I used a 1967 6-cylinder throwout bearing, the modern driveline spacer, the 1989 4-cylinder 2.3 liter clutch disc with the original pressure plate, resurfaced flywheel. The original speedometer cable went right in. There's the reverse wires. I may wire it up. We'll see. They gotta go right there. Clutch works. I might have to adjust it. So anyway, I'm on to the yoke now. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this drive shaft out. I have a pretty good feeling that I'm gonna have to have this darn thing shortened. But we'll see. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap the yokes right now. Here we are side by side, older and newer. You can tell different spline count. This one will slide right on. Right? Goes all the way up. Okay? That's the whole reason why we're replacing it. Not even close. Alright, so if you need to figure out how to get this done yourself, then for your U-joint replacement, plenty of YouTube videos, that's how I did it. So I haven't worked with one of these internal C-clip style ones before. I'm used to the old ones with the clips on the outside, but this isn't bad, man. So I'm going to assume the part they gave me is right. Indeed, everything matches up. So I'm going to go ahead and try to reinstall this and then see if this puppy is too long or not. Alright, so I kind of broke my own rule. I should have replaced the U-joints, but there was no slop in the system, so whatever. I just want to see if this thing fits, if I'm going to have to cut it down. If not, it's going to a driveline shop anyhow, where I'll probably just pay them an extra 40, 50 bucks or whatever to put in new U-joints. These didn't have any slop, and that dang motor's putting out, what, 80 horsepower? You know, I did top it off with some fresh wheel bearing grease on the inside of the bearings. Make sure the bearings are all lined up when you do this so that you don't mess it up. But some people use a hammer, so I don't. I use a press. So this isn't going flush. I probably have a jacked up bearing. Fun. Okie doke. Well, there it is. Here's my new U-joint. Yoke. Old U-joint. Okay, the rule states we need 3/4 of an inch clearance. Well, that right there is right at about an inch clearance. You can see how far it went in by the dust line right there, right? So just barely by the skin of my teeth, we have enough clearance. That makes me happy. That saves me $100. So I'm gonna go ahead and button down this drive shaft as is. If it clunks, I'll pull it back out and replace the U-joints. Like I said, there were no issues when I pulled it apart, and I need to get this thing back on the road already. So first gear. There it is. Foot on the clutch, make sure it's releasing fully. It is. Second gear. Look at that go. Make sure I'm getting full release, foot on the clutch. And I'm getting full release. Whoop, whoop. So much that can go wrong, but here's the first test drive. Reverse, come on, baby. Okay. It's moving under its own power. Oh, stop. Okay, mirrors. Don't hit the wife's vehicle. Okay, don't hit the better 66 Mustang. All right, reverse again. Engage is a little bit high, but it's okay. I can adjust that if need be. This is the literal very first time I've driven this with the T5. Oh, and it can definitely use power steering. What the hell was that? Oh, my throttle spring broke. All right, we definitely have 2 gears, and we definitely do not have a throttle spring. Grab's nice and good with that clutch disc, and the resurfaced flywheel. It shifts nice and smooth. That is a good sign. Oh, the shift boot does not work very well, though. Ooh, I tripped the tires. Wow, this thing runs really well. Really well. 4th gear. That's how our brakes are working now. Ish. Let's see if I can get into 5th gear. 1st gear. 2nd gear. 3rd gear. 4th gear. Wow, the RPMs are low. 5th gear. Oh, the RPMs are like 1400. And I'm going 60. Wow. Wow. 4th gear. 3rd gear. 2nd gear. When was the last time, knock on plastic, that you ever had a test drive go right? Oh, it chirps them every time. That 397 1st gear really wakes it up. What is that? It's a vacuum leak. All right. Woohoo! I'll take it.